What's up, guys? Appreciate everybody engaging with my last story on cocktails. I just found out, it's just a good point. You always learning stuff. I just found out, when you Negronis and Boulevardiers are like the exact same drink. It's the exact same drink. Only difference is they both have Campari and sweet vermouth. The only difference is Negronis have they use gin, and Boulevardiers use bourbon. It looks the same and everything. Amazing, two amazing drinks. But there you go. I did my part. We're now more educated drinkers from it. So appreciate you guys interacting there. So our producers hit it out the park again this week. We got a tremendous G that's joining us, Dylan Madden. And see, he's in here. So here we go. Welcome to G Live, guys. Happy to, let's see here. There's a moment here, a little working on this technical aspect here. Okay. All right, I see IG wants to be a little funny. Let's go. All right, let's try that again. Welcome to G Live, guys. Appreciate you joining us. And here he is.
How's it going?
What's up, brother?
Living life. How about yourself? It's been since Miami, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. We had the pleasure. Yep. Last December in Miami. Briefly,
Awesome.
I appreciate all that you do. Appreciate you taking some time.
Yeah,
I was looking at the world clock before. I was like, oh, he's in. So you're in Paraguay right now?
Yeah, correct. Paraguay. Yeah.
Paraguay, South America. So I was like, wait a minute, is this a different time zone? No, it's the same time zone. So yeah. Thanks for coming out, man.
Oh yeah, always. I love the content you put out.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And likewise, Dylan Madden. For those that don't know, on Twitter, Moneybag Lives. Also, Dylan Madden on YouTube. Dylan is one of the most giving G's that I've met, and that's saying a lot because there's a lot of guys that give value, that help other people. The amount of content, Dylan, that you put out, just helping people. We know what you do within our magnificent network of the War Room. We appreciate you so much. You're an OG, right? You're one of the first men to do that, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that too. But you have a really wonderful story in terms of how you came up, right? They talk about the come up, and you really came up. Just you're originally from South America, South Carolina.
Yeah, South Carolina.
What part?
Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that background, and then we'll get into and obviously the topic is for those that know, Dylan is a master at freelancing, doing great things, helping a lot of guys also doing that, and really building up their money and changing their lives. Yeah, give us a little bit about your background, G.
Yeah, so basically I was that guy that was always, even though I was working a job, this rewind back to for all of you that are watching this, I'm 28 now. So I've been obsessed with this stuff since I was probably 15, 16 years old. And so I was trying all these little businesses. My first taste of business was a friend of mine and I started an eBay store. He knew a lot about comic books. I understood eBay. So we did that and it worked out well. But he wasn't as business oriented. We had an argument one time because he didn't want to sell this one comic book because it was a limited edition. But I wanted to sell it because it was a lot of money. And so we basically just cleaned our hands. I moved on. And I was that kid that was constantly reading, trying to find out the secrets to success, secrets to the world. And then I guess for me, what fully cemented me was three things. One, I saw my dad, which was growing up with my mom. She was super poor. I would see her going through the kitchen trying to find something to eat, and then she would give me food. I didn't notice at the time, but then much later found out she didn't eat most of the time, or not most of the time, but quite a few of the times, so I could eat. So I saw that, and I got to experience poverty in that sense. But that was only until I was like 8 or 9 years old, and then moved in with my dad. And my dad, that was like, at the time, we were probably middle class. Later, he got upper middle class. So I got to experience, like, we can go out to eat. We can eat whatever we want. Like, that just blew my mind. So from an early age, I saw the importance of having money. And I got to see the reality of not having money. And what cemented my, I guess, transition into what I'm doing now was, one, seeing my dad, vice president of a company, trading ungodly amounts of hours to this company, traveling the world, doing all that. He was away from the family for about a year because like my parents were divorced. So I was with my stepmom, my brother, and my sister. And gone for a year. To make a long story short, out of loyalty, he stayed with the company. And he was supposed to take, for all of you that are watching this that know what Boeing is, they opened this massive Boeing facility in Charleston. And to make a long story short, turned it down out of loyalty, and he was going to be retiring in like, I think, 4 years or something. And to make a long story short, his friend had something go on in his personal life. And he's like, you know what? I'm done with business. I want to clean my hands, move on. Sold the company, made out like a bandit, like hundreds of millions of dollars. My dad, who had built this company alongside this guy, because he didn't hit a certain criteria of years worked, didn't get this big bonus that he would have gotten. And the company cleaned house. My dad, a bunch of other top executives cleaned house. And I had to see my own dad, who had been so hardworking, have to start over. So that was one. The second thing was I got into multi-level marketing, which also turned me away from it because, like, for me, I was like, wow, I can trade a service and make money instead of having to trade my time. But then I saw through the illusion. I realized it wasn't actually your own business, and I got away from it. And then the third thing was to make my dad happy. After I got out of high school, I didn't really have anything going on for me. I was going to join the military, but I had some nonsense go down. They were trying to, like, basically get me to be an infantry guy. And I overheard them, yeah, if you can get Madden to go in and be an infantry, you'll get more money. Just tell them the other stuff isn't available. So I basically just was like, nope, not doing that. So I went to college to make my dad happy. And to make a long story short, I went there for like 2 months, 3 months, and I raised my hand one day in marketing class and asked my professor, because he was teaching us small business, entrepreneurship, and then marketing, all three topics. I was like, so professor, whatever his name, can you let me, like, what type of businesses have you had? Because I thought this would give me a sense of direction. It's like, well, about like 20 years ago, a friend of mine and I were going to buy this of some insurance company, but the deal didn't go through. And I was like, so you've never ran a business? And he was like, oh, I mean, well, I've been teaching it. I've got a lot of experience in that. And I packed my bag, walked out, and spent the rest of that, like the rest of the school year, just staying in the library. So my parents would see me go. They would, oh, he's going to college. And I would basically, whenever papers would come in through the mail, I would tear it up, throw it away. And one time I slipped because I was away for the weekend, and my parents got it like on a Friday. But basically, I'd failed like all the classes. I never went, and I had to explain myself. And to make a long story short, those three things cemented my mind of, oh man, I need to figure this out. And I mean, my story, it goes back even back to like 2014. So I graduated high school in 2013. 2014, I got exposed to online marketing, like blogging and all that. So I started these niche websites. And I'm sure it's still profitable if you do it right now, or correct now. But I had a Kratom website, and then I also had a mail enhancement website. Those two did very well. Very well as in I was making a couple grand a month, which to me at that time was like, oh my God, that's amazing. And for a lot of the people watching this, that would be awesome. Even if you have a grand a month coming in extra, that's life-changing.
Was it affiliate marketing?
Yeah, 100% affiliate. But the issue I had with that was I was one of the top affiliates for the mail enhancement company. And this within the blogging sphere and YouTube sphere. Like, I'm sure they had even bigger guys than I, but at the time, I was one of the top within that realm.
Yeah.
And they updated their affiliate plan, and I went from making from this one site I was making like $1,200 a month. I went to zero, and I was like, "Oh no!" I thought I finally cracked the code. Now I've got to start over. And a friend of mine reached out to me, and he's like, "Hey man, can you write a blog post for me? You're really good at writing." And I was like, "Oh sure, I'll do it." Wrote a blog post. He paid me $100. And around this time, Gorilla Mind was a new supplement company, and I've been writing affiliate articles for them on my main blog, commoncollected.com. And one of their guys, what's his name? More Plates, More Dates. That guy reached out to me before he was like famous. Reached out to me at the time. He was just their writer or something. And he reached out to me. He was like, yo, Dylan, can you, Mike has said that you've wrote some affiliate articles. I checked the stats. Like, you've actually made some money for us. Would you be interested in writing articles? I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I wrote a handful of articles for them. I wrote a handful of articles for other blog people. But I still wasn't happy. I still felt like there was something missing. Like, it was cool. I was making $100 for a 1,000-word article, $150 if it was an advert. But I still wasn't happy. So I went and I thought, maybe I could offer this as like a package. So I started writing like local companies as an example. I'd build your website. I would create the menu. I would write the about page. I would do all of that for you.
Like the sweetest service.
Yeah, exactly. But I hated it, and I didn't understand at the time. I didn't have the awareness or the AKA experience to know that I could outsource this to people that were way better than I was, and I could use my mind to come up with a big vision, and then I could have a writer, and then I could have this. So I hated it because I would basically sit there for like literally 8 hours just trying to figure out the coding and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then basically after that, after I did a few of those, I partnered with a web designer it was called Sites to Light. And essentially we would design your website, design your blog, we'd manage it. But the issue was our targeting. We targeted broke people. we targeted other bloggers within our sphere because we thought, oh, this is so genius. In hindsight, I would have targeted completely different people. We would have killed it. But you live and you learn. So that one, it just wasn't worth our while. Because around 2016, it was like April 2016, I quit my job. I was working in a car dealership. And the only reason go ahead.
How'd you end up at a car dealership? You just sold your, because I mean, I could tell from what you shared, like you always chase knowledge. You're always trying to find knowledge. Yeah. How did that come about for the car dealership?
So, I mean, from 2013 to 2016, actually even before that, I was working a regular job. So this whole time that I was building websites, I still had a job because I had that, I guess you'd say, fear that like, oh man, I'm completely depending on myself. And I didn't have the experience yet that I felt that I could just completely jump out there and do my own thing. So I had a host of different jobs. Like, you're probably going to judge me. I've had like 12 different regular jobs because I would work a job and then man, screw this. They're not going to pay me more. I'm sitting here working my butt off, and I'd quit the job, go to a better job. But
yeah. Listen, you were figuring it out. Also, still, you were young. You're figuring it out on the go. Right. Yeah.
So fast forward to 2016. By this point, I was like super into like figuring out this online thing. So like I was reading all these blogs, I was listening to podcasts, I was testing different things. I was doing a lot of stuff that I thought was progressing me, like constantly watching YouTube videos, constantly reading about stuff. In my mind, that was me progressing. And it is to a degree, but are you actually acting on it? Which is what I want a lot of the people watching this to understand. It's a huge difference. And to make a long story short, I basically quit my job because I drove for Uber one time. I think I drove, it was like 2 or 3 hours, made like $75. I was like, found a way to make money without a job, quit my job. And it was terrible. It was a terrible idea. And very quickly after that, like within the month, Charleston passed this law to where it was way harder to drive for Uber because it was directly competing with taxis.
So you go down in history as the shortest YouTube Uber driver in history.
Yeah. So because I would basically have to drive for like 10 hours just to make just enough money. My car, I don't know. Do you know what a Grand Marquis is?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That was my car.
Big boys, big cars, long cars. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my car. It's terrible at gas. So basically,
that's an old school car. That's the granddad car.
I had the luxury edition.
That's dope.
So basically, I realized again, oh man, I messed up. I don't know how to make money because the affiliate stuff was like up and down. So I kind of fast forward a little bit. At this time, I was still figuring out the affiliate stuff. So it was like up and down. Like 1 month it would be good, the next month it would be down, and so I was still figuring everything out. And so I literally would just sit there staring up at the ceiling, kind of depressed because I was like, man, what am I doing with my life? I'm in my early 20s. I don't have a job. I don't know how to make money, blah, 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 blah. And literally I went to a grocery store. It was like 15 minutes away. And I had just enough money. I was like, I could get the ground beef, or I could get this loaf of bread with the peanut butter and jelly with a gallon of water. That'll last me way longer. And of course, I went the bread, the peanut butter jelly, the water, because that'll last me. On my way home, I got this random call from some guy named Brent. It's like, hey, Dylan, this is Brent. This is Dylan, right? And I was like, yes, sir. This is Dylan. And I, to this day, don't ever remember applying for this, but somehow I applied for something like a gig that he was offering. And he was like, listen, Dylan, you applied for this gig as a cleaner. I'm trying to get out of the business. However, if you're interested, I would like to sign over the contracts to you. And it would be like basically 1099. It would be directly between you and the property manager. I want out of this business. And he kept going on and on and on. And he said 480 a week, which in my mind at that time I was like, oh my God, I'm rich at that point. If I'm making 480 a week, that's crazy. And so I corrected. I was like, yeah, I mean, all this sounds good. So you said 480 every 2 weeks, right? He's like, oh no, 480 every week. And I was like, when can we meet? And he was like, okay, cool. How about let's meet 3 o'clock tomorrow? I was like, awesome. Okay, 3 o'clock p.m. tomorrow. Where do you want to meet? He was like, we'll be meeting at the Publix on Johns Island, which obviously means nothing to you, but to me, I knew exactly what he was talking about. He was like, and it's 3 a.m., not p.m. I was like,
South Carolina?
Yeah, South Carolina.
Yeah.
And so I met this dude at like 3 in the morning in a Publix parking lot, and he basically taught me pick up trash, put it in a bucket, change these trash cans. Okay, now let's go to the Walmart. This is what you're going to be doing. Now let's go to this apartment complex. Here's what you're going to be doing. Right. And that basically saved me. That allowed me to put my head above the water, basically. So I finally could have money for whatever I wanted within reason, obviously like food, bills, etc. Right. But around that time, for a lot of people that are watching this, they probably won't know who this is because he's completely off the internet. But Victor Pry, boldanddetermined.com. I was a big-time reader of his at the time, back whenever he used to write articles. And I saw that he posted some video about looking for an intern. I was like, I think that might be for me. And so I emailed his friend, and this goes into why everybody's watching this. You need to network. Like, just find ways to be valuable to other people. Like, for me, being valuable at that time, I had no skill. I didn't really know what I was doing. I would make graphics for people. I would make free articles for people. Any little thing I could do to be in their world, I would do. And we can touch on that later if you want. But that's basically what I did with this guy. And this guy was, at the time, I don't know what he's doing now. I haven't kept up with him. But at the time, he used to have a massive forum. He was business partners with this Victor Pride guy. And he's, oh, yeah, man, I can connect you to. And like a month, 2 months later, I booked a flight, last-minute flight, gave my debit card to my brother. I was like, hey, Christian, can you book a flight, the next flight out to Los Angeles? It's like $800, which to me at that time was like a fortune. And I booked a flight. Before I knew it, I was in Los Angeles, stayed there for like 3.5 months, and basically learned the ins and outs of the publishing game, like writing books, publishing, marketing, podcasts, all that type of stuff. And I came back.
This was what, 2017? When was
the end of 2016 into the beginning of 2017. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
And I mean, that time, like I came back with like $142 to my name, lots of credit card debt. There were some disagreements on payment, like agreements going over there that I was going to get paid, but then once I got there, stuff happened. Yeah. But I learned a lot. I learned a ton from him, and he even wrote an article about me, like my time there, which super helped my credibility back in those days. And I learned a lot. So I came back with like $142 to my name. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I got into the Craigslist game. So like flipping products on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. And that got me by, just barely got me by for a little bit. And just was hustling, like finding any little way I could make money. Yeah.
Yeah. And for those that may be checking this out or seeing the recording afterwards, were you going to like the free section and seeing what you could pick up and then flipping it? Or yeah, you know what I mean? Because I know, some people use that strategy, or they'll go somewhere, buy something cheap, then throw it online and sell it for a little bit more.
Yeah, so I would do a little bit of both. I would say most of the business I did was the free section, but I would also go to like Goodwill, Habitat for Humanity, like garage sales, and do that as well. But a lot of the easy money is on the free section. So for anybody that's watching this, you want to make an extra couple $100 a week, go to the free section on Craigslist. Even Facebook Marketplace, they might still have that, the free section. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can go to the free section, literally get stuff people are trying to get rid of, and you can turn around, take pictures of it, and profit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's basically what I was doing for a while. Pulled myself out of the hole is because, like I said, I came back with credit card debt, so I had to get myself out of that. I was doing all these different things. I started doing event management, but what really turned the light on for me, shout out Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, was I found them on Twitter, and I was like, there's something different about these guys. Because I never got into the red pill stuff. I never got into any of that, like the pickup art. I never got into that. But the way they were saying things was just different. And I was like, for some reason, I just feel like I need to like be around these guys. And fast forward to the end of 2018, going into 2019, they started this thing called, we'll call it the organization, since we're on Instagram Live, the organization. And I got in, I was like one of the first few members that joined. And basically from that moment on, everything just amplified for me. And I ended up meeting Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate in Washington, D.C. in 2019. I just gotten back from Jamaica because a friend of mine, I basically made a promise to him that the next time you travel, I promise you, I give you my word, I will go with you. And he hit me up like 2 months prior. He's like, yo, dog, we're going to Jamaica. I was like, okay. So I went to Jamaica. We got back, and my brother, as soon as he picked me up from the airport, dropped me off at the house, we were about to go inside. So, oh man, the Tates are in D.C. right now. I was like, oh no, that was like a week ago. He's like, no, they're there right now. And I was like, go pack your bags, let's go. And I literally took my book bag off, put it back in the car, booked an Airbnb, messaged Andrew on Twitter at the time. I was like, hey Andrew, like I know you obviously don't really know who I am, so this might come across as weird, but obviously, like by this point, I've been doing a little bit of work for him behind the scenes. I was in the organization, so he knew me.
What kind, if you don't mind, what were you doing? Copy? What kind of work were you doing?
Oh no, it would just be like graphics. I also had an affiliate Twitter account that I was running back in the day that got taken out, but I was running an affiliate Twitter account back in those days and making graphics and that type of stuff. So like for everybody that's listening, it doesn't matter who it is. If you want to network with them, maybe you don't have any value, but your time is valuable. Your energy is valuable. So if you can just offer your time and energy, well, I've got guys hitting me up all the time, wanting to make Instagram graphics, wanting to clip videos of any little thing they can do to add value. And that's what makes them stand out to me. I ignore most other people, but to them and to me, they're there. They're real. So that's what I did. And I did that with a bunch of other people, the Tate specifically. I just found any little way I could be valuable, whether it's making a Twitter account and promoting their stuff, whether it was making graphics, making headers. Hey, this on your website, I noticed this. Like any little thing you could do to offer value. That's how you network with people. People ask me all the time, Dylan, how do you network with all these people? I find something that I can help them with, and I help them. And I don't expect anything in return. I just help them. I want to be as close to them as possible. That's the secret. But I guess to rewind, him and I drove there after I DM'd Andrew. He's like, yeah, man, or yeah, G, hit me up in the morning. And so I messaged him in the morning. He's like, here's my hotel. Let's grab coffee. And we basically hit it off from the get-go. Tristan, in the very beginning, was a little unsure about me. But then once Andrew said, hey, we're going to a party later tonight, it would be awesome if you and your brother could join. Then Tristan was completely open to me. And then we went to a party. And then the next morning we met up again. And by this point, like I said, I'd done online marketing. So I was doing like affiliate stuff. I was also offering freelancing services behind the scenes. But I was one of those guys, and I can't stand them now, but I was one of those guys that was anti-course. If you were selling a course, I didn't like you. You're out here just trying to make money, blah, 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 blah. And he basically told me, he was like, Dylan, tell me about what you're doing now. And I told him about flipping. He was like, so you're telling me if I was broke and I did what you said, I would make money from nothing. I was like, yeah. He was like, okay, break that down for me. And I broke it down. And he was like, that's genius. Turn that into a course. And I was like, nobody would buy that. He was like, no, make it a course. Otherwise, I'm not talking to you anymore. I was like, oh, snap. So I sat down, made it a course while I was there, showed him the next morning. And then I recorded the videos while I was there. And that thing made me like $1,600 in like a week or two, which was like mind blowing. Like I finally thought I cracked the code. And from that point on, it was basically just an upward trajectory. Like I'm assuming probably a lot of people watching this, I lived with the Tates for like 3 months in Romania. I traveled around with them. We continue to this day working together. And it's taking that chance as far as like putting myself out there and then flying out there and just being of value any type of way I could.
Right.
That if it weren't for them, I would not be sitting here. Like I would probably still be sitting there if I didn't join the organization. Still,
Right.
like, of course, at some point I would figure it out. But until you start putting yourself out there and finding ways to be around people, see somebody said,
Right.
think and go hustle. Yeah, shout out, think and go hustle. Until you put yourself out there, until you experience life, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't know anything about anything. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but you need to be put out there and be around guys that are doing the life or living the life you want. It makes it so much easier.
Right.
As an example, like whenever I was working a regular job, it frustrated me. Like hearing their conversations and the different goals they had pissed me off because I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm miserable. But then these guys are the top sales guys at the car company. This is just this one dealership. I'm not saying it's like this for everything, but at this dealership, they were looking forward to bar hopping on the weekend and softball on Sunday. And they would complain about their job. Yeah. And I would just, oh man, it infuriated me. So being around the organization and just growing the network and finding ways that I could position myself to be around people that had the life I wanted, both like at the point that I'm at now, and I'm like a level 100 of 1,000. So I'm not like some super master level expert, whatever. But at the level I'm at now, I try to surround myself with people that are right below me so that I can inspire them. But then I like to have peers that are at my level. We can mastermind together, but also, this is really important, have people that are so much better than you. Because friends of mine all the time ask me, and sometimes they'll even try to do it as almost like not an insult, but like, oh, Dylan, all you do is work and you work so hard, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, because the people I'm competing with and the people that inspire me, they just bought, like Andrew, he bought a Bugatti, he bought another Bugatti. He's got mansions all over the world. Like,
Yeah.
I'm nowhere near that. So, of course, I'm always going to be working. I don't have time to just sit around and small talk and do all that. Like, I'm
He,
angry because I'm not living that.
he
Yeah,
hasn't started working, and we shouldn't either. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
They're constantly working on stuff. Shout outs to the
Mm-hmm.
Tates. One thing
Yeah.
that Andrew says that stuck with me, I was thinking about it today. You know, we sometimes he says something to the effect of like, we ask life to come to us, we have to come
Mm-hmm.
to life, and that is so true.
Yeah.
And just what you've done with yourself, and you're a young man, you still have
Mm-hmm.
so much more to do to accomplish. You came to life, you bootstrapped it, and you're
Mm-hmm.
successful at that and helping other guys. So that's amazing, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean that's basically the key that's got me here is like the way you just summarized that is perfect. Like instead of sitting here, for all the guys who are sitting here watching this, you all have goals, you all have dreams, you all have some like barriers that you're hitting, but you have to stop sitting there just waiting for life to happen and for the opportunity to fall in your lap. And basically, and I told Colson, shout out Colson, I told him this is something that was like key to me. I got to a point of like where I refused any reality except the one that I wanted. And until you get to that point, you have plan B and plan C and plan D and all these other plans. But until you
That's
get to where it's like, this is what I want, I refuse anything else. And that's all you focus on. And then you come to life, you don't wait for it. That's when you achieve everything. Like from like 2014 to 2019, I was a loser versus everybody, like my peers at the time, like the guys that were going to college, they were coming out with their fancy college degrees, or they would get this corporate job, or they were making $20 an hour, and they were doing all this stuff. To me, I was like, man, am I messing up? But instead, I was like, no, 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 put your blinders on. I refuse that reality, and I was definitely delusional. But the thing that separated me from most other delusional people is I backed it up with an insane work ethic. Like even whenever I was cleaning properties at 3 a.m. to around 11 a.m., I would wake up, go clean the properties, come home, check Craigslist, see if I could do any flipping. As soon as I got home, I was working on my websites, and then I started doing videos way back in the day as well. I sucked. I was really bad at them, but I would still put them out, and I would do anything I could to self-teach myself. So stop trying to just sit there and wait for things to fall in your lap and come to life. But yeah, I don't want to rant too much. I could talk about this stuff for hours.
You're just dropping. I wish I had like a gem emoji. I just drop, or you guys, man, you guys should. If somebody could just drop put up the gem emoji, because that's Dylan is really sharing a lot of wonderful game, man. And make sure guys, definitely go to his page, because he's got a link on his page with a lot of incredible resources. This is a man that really gives a lot, helps a lot. Again, on Twitter, at Moneybaglives, and on YouTube, Dylan Madden, Madden with two D's, obviously. Just a lot of content. You do a great job, brother.
I appreciate that.
Thank you for the jam emojis. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. In terms of when we say freelancing, right? Because freelancing is a big, broad term.
Yeah.
What are some things? What are some freelancing type of kind of opportunities that you've done and you've helped other people take on?
So basically what freelancing is to me, and I know it could be a bunch of different things, to me it's just offering a skill in exchange for money. That's literally it. So, I mean, as an example, I'm an email copywriter. So for what I do is I write people's emails, I help them with the email campaigns. I also do some social media stuff as well because I'm good at like building Twitter accounts, etc. So I do that behind the scenes. But for everybody that's watching this, you just need to find like what are some of the skills that you're kind of naturally good at. And whenever I say that, that confuses some people. So let me give you an example. With me trying to learn web design, no matter how many hours I dedicate to it, I can put together a website, but it still is super hard to me. On the other hand, whenever it came to writing blog posts, whenever it came to writing tweets, whenever it came to writing emails, even though it was hard, I could get through it. It was just a different type of hard. It was like I'm figuring it out. And I'm like, oh, okay. So whenever I say find things you're naturally good at, that's what I mean. It's like not everybody's just naturally good at being a copywriter and all this other stuff. But what I'm saying is like ask yourself and try different things. Like I tried a bunch of different things. I tried web design. I've tried doing closing people on the phone. I'm good at it, but I hate it. I've wrote articles for websites. I've wrote adverts, sales pages, and finally I found email copywriting. And that's where I started really shining. And so from a freelancer perspective, you just need to find like what are some of the things you're kind of already naturally good at, meaning they're not super hard and you don't hit your head against the wall every single day. You start making progress. So some of the common skills, and I can send you a list. I've got so many. I've got like literally the list of like 50 different skills, but web design, there's Twitter ghostwriting, very popular thing that I don't really tell people publicly outside of HU is IG page management. Like you could literally reach out to people that are creating content on IG or even people that are on Twitter but that don't have a IG presence, and you could literally create their graphics, which you can outsource. You can write their descriptions, which you can take from their tweets or their videos. So you're not really having to use that much creativity, and you can basically run their IG account and charge them $1,000 or $2,000 a month. So I mean, there's unlimited opportunities out there. You just need to identify, as Andrew would say, identify. You need to identify what types of things that they are like within their business. How could you help them? So for me, the reason I got into email copywriting was kind of by accident, but one of the people I was working with at the time, they're like, you know how to write emails, right? I was like, yeah. They're like, okay, write a couple emails for us. And I did it well. And then I started identifying other people, and I was like, man, all these guys have email lists, but they suck. Like they're terrible, or they just hardly ever put any emails out. So I started coming out and offering to write emails for them. So I would manage their email list. But then I also noticed that a lot of them weren't maximizing the people that joined their email list. So a person would join their email list, get their ebook, and then a month would go by or a couple weeks would go by without an email. So my tweak to make my offer different than everybody else's was not only will I manage your email list, but I'm also going to write your email sequence, your welcome sequence. So whenever they join, they would get the free book, but then the next day they would get another email, and then the next day another email. And I would start warming them up and priming them for what that brand was about.
Right.
And I wasn't super great at it, but because it was so I guess new, like it just blew people's minds. And I leveraged that, and then I started making myself even more unique. Like I started getting into like segmentation. So like as an example, a fitness client of mine, if we're trying to sell a fat loss product, we're going to talk to a specific way to a specific person. So we started segmenting his list. So people that are trying to lose fat, they're on this segment. People that are trying to gain muscle, they're on this segment. Okay. You're still there? Okay, my alarm went off.
Yeah.
So we basically email, like if you're trying to lose fat, we would write the email for that person. Then I could take that same email, tweak it for the person that's trying to gain muscle, but it would be for a different product. And it's just little things like that, but you don't learn that. Like I didn't just wake up and I was a great email copywriter. I was just a guy that could write emails, half good, but I could do it. the other people couldn't do it, or they didn't have the time for it. And so as a freelancer, your job is to identify ways you can help people and understand that you're saving them time, but you're also trying to make them money. But also you'll run into a problem that I ran into the first time that I offered, because back in these days, I was charged like $1,000 a month to write daily emails. I would never do that now, but back in those days I did. And there's a guy that I'd reached out to when I was struggling. This is when I was still traveling the world, figuring out my way. And I reached out to him, and he wasn't interested in working with me. And I was like, okay, moved on to the next person. About 8 months, 9 months later, maybe 10 months later, he reached out to me. He said, hey, man, I heard some of the people you're working with. I would love for you to come in and manage my email list. And so at the first price that came to my mind, which was out of this world, it's like $3,000 a month. And I'm only writing 3 emails a week for you. And he's like, great, how can I pay? I was just like, what? So you have to understand, as a freelancer, your whole thing is you're saving people time and you're making them money depending on your skill. So if I'm making a guy like $40,000 a month, and I just created that number, if I'm making a guy $40,000 a month, it would make sense for him to pay me $3,000, $4,000, even $5,000 a month. If he's not having to do anything, I'm taking the workload off him. He doesn't have to think about it. So as a freelancer, whenever you're just getting started, a lot of the guys, they mess up by trying to just go straight for premium because some Twitter guy said, charge more. Well, no, don't do that. You need to earn your reputation. You need to put the work in. You need to get the body of work. But once you've got the body of work and you can actually say, here's what I'm going to do, and then you do it, that's when you can charge more if it makes sense. So, but you have to put the reps in first. So all the people that are watching this, don't expect that, okay, I'm going to get into freelancing and then next month I'm going to start charging premium prices. No, probably not.
You work up to it. And also we got to say, because this man is one of the key members, Hustlers University 2.0, helping guys all across the world learning applicable skills, making money, turning their lives around. Check out, if you haven't, check out Hustlers University 2.0. There's one of the professors in there, Dylan Madden. So that's very important. That program is helping a lot of guys.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that's something I was telling some of the students.
You mentioned it, and oh my God, I almost forgot. We were forgetting HU 2.0. That's a life changer. We were like, yo, they'll wring my neck if I forget that. You know?
Oh no, HU is it's one of those things. Like, it boggles my mind sometimes. Like, I don't think people realize how lucky they are to have that. If I had that a couple years ago, I would be so much richer than I am now because I had to sit there and piece together all this information. I had to go out there and try and fail. But then within HU, I am a professor, so I'm biased, but they get to learn directly from me. I get on AMAs, actually talking to these people. I actually sit down and respond to their questions. Things that I charge outside of HU thousands of dollars for, they pay for their membership. They have access to me. They have access to people for personal finance. They can learn affiliate marketing, crypto, stocks. They can learn all these different things in one place. And I don't think people realize how massive that is. There's no other place that I know of that allows that. And if I had access to that way back in the day, I would be so much further ahead. I'm honestly jealous and envious of some of the people that go through that. And it's literally, I was talking to a guy on the HU Review channel that I'm running, where I sit down and interview people. He got in, he was basically broke, and he started making he made $1,300 like that while we were on the call. And it's I hear stories like that. And the reason it works is because you're not learning from some random person, you're learning from verified people. Which goes back to what we were talking about earlier. You need to find ways to position yourself to be around the people you want to be with. That's a perfect example. You're learning, you're talking, you're engaging, you're asking questions. And by default, at some point, you're going to get that reality if you don't give up. Most people give up, but if you just refuse every other reality, then yes, at some point, you're going to start getting those results.
That's a solid point. Because you just refuse to, you stick to it. That's a solid point that I hope everyone takes away from, one of many. So, you had this success, brother, with freelancing. What has it been able to do for you and for your family? Because you've done some amazing things.
Yeah, so for me personally, initially from a selfish standpoint, it allowed me to be able to travel the world, which was one of my little dreams for the longest time. I just wanted to be able to travel the world, and let me turn my notifications off. I wanted to be able to travel the world for the longest time. And that, oh my heavens. Okay. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
WhatsApp's going crazy right now. So
Okay.
my initial dream was to be able to travel the world, and
Right.
freelancing allowed me to be able to do that. It allowed me to be able to, I lived in Qatar for 9 months. I lived all throughout Eastern Europe. I didn't really go into Western Europe. I've lived all over South America. I lived in Mexico with Mitchell, like in Guadalajara for a while.
Yep.
Yeah. I went to America for like 4 or 5 months. That was whenever you and I linked up in Miami. So it's from a selfish standpoint, it's allowed me to be able to travel the world and live essentially wherever I want, regardless of what's happening. From a less selfish standpoint, but still you could argue selfish, it's allowed me to be able to take care of my girl. She never has to worry about a job again. Also, my mom, she's taken care of. I'm not making the kind of money to where I can send her off to Dubai, let her live in a penthouse and drive around in a supercar, but I'm in the position to where I can allow my mom to not have to worry about a job. She doesn't have to worry about like praying for her, but she's got some medical stuff going on that I'm taking care of. So I can provide that because of freelancing. So for anybody that's watching this, if you just put the time in, like if you actually care about your mom, if you actually care about your girl, if you actually care about your own dreams, and you put the time in and you actually start getting results for other people, so you have a proof, like a body of work that shows like I actually am good at XYZ skill, and then you put the time in and like you can learn from me within HU. I mean, there's plenty of other people, but if you were to learn freelancing, I'd say I'm biased, but I'm the best when it comes to that. And you can leverage social media to find clients, reach out to them via DM, close them. And something that holds a lot of people back is they think they have to have like 12 different clients to be able to make good money. No, you need like 2 to 3 clients and you're already making the average American salary. So 2 to 3 clients, you've replaced your job completely. You can live wherever you want. And then from there, I can teach you how to either use those few clients, make more money from those clients, or feel free to go out and take on more clients if you want. But that's what's possible if you just put the effort in and the intention. You don't keep giving up. And then some random person on YouTube's like, this is the best way to make money in 2022. And then you're like, oh, actually, I'm not going to do this freelancing thing. I'm going to go do this. As long as you focus, your freelancing can change your reality if you sit there and, as we said earlier, you come to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's most. And I wish your mom all the best. You know, as she works.
I appreciate that.
I know she's going to get better. Anyone that's watching this and they want to reach out to you and learn more about, because you have a lot of great products, a lot of great courses on flipping, on getting started in freelancing, email, copyright, so forth, writing profitable emails. Just guys, Dylan is the G when it comes to this stuff. Is there particular, where could they reach out to you? On IG? Does it matter? Twitter?
I mean, IG is definitely one of the best places because it's still the newer platform that I'm growing. So if any of you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via DM. Also, I mean, you can click the link in my bio. I've got plenty of other resources there. But just from a free content standpoint, one of my best platforms, I would say, is YouTube. I've been putting a lot of energy into that. So if you go to YouTube and just type in Dylan Madden $10,000 Masterclass, I literally sat down for like 45 minutes and I break down the entire freelancing game, like how to go from 0 to 2. And it's completely for free. It's friends of mine are like, oh my God, Dylan, you should put that to a product. But it's like, no, I want guys to understand the basics so I can help amplify them from there. So if you're interested in freelancing, go to YouTube, type in Dylan Madden 10,000 Masterclass.
Yeah, Dylan gives a lot of gems, for real. Absolutely, very giving. So, you know, you talked about travel. Talk to me a little bit about travel and how that's opened you and developed you as a you know, you're still a young man. You know what I mean? So, because then that's one of your passions, obviously, as you mentioned earlier. Yeah, share a little bit about that.
I mean, for me, traveling, and this might kind of sound silly, but it made me believe in myself way more because, like, whenever you're out there, for the first bit of my travels, I was completely alone. Like, because I lived in one of Andrew's houses for like 3 months, and we went to Dubai, and then from there, they went back to Europe, and then I basically just started traveling. And for quite a bit of that time, I was alone for months on end, which had never happened. I always had my brother with me. I was always around friends, family, environments that I knew.
You're a long way from South Carolina, boy.
A long way from South Carolina. So for me, traveling really helped me just step into my own power and start believing in myself. And it's like when you're in a country where nobody speaks your language, or your cell phone's not working, so you don't have data, you're having to figure things out and navigate, you quickly realize, one, most things in your mind are just like problems, just imaginary. Just figure it out, put together a plan. Like one time, as an example, I was in Budapest. So this wasn't super far out there. Budapest is beautiful. But yeah, in Hungary. And I went to go to a grocery store. I didn't have data. And for some reason, I think I took like a wrong turn or something. And I couldn't find my apartment. And I was like, oh my God. I was walking around for like 40 minutes and just trying to figure out where my apartment was. And then I saw Starbucks. Shout out America. I saw Starbucks, whatever. Went over to the Starbucks and was able to connect to their Wi-Fi, find my way back to my apartment. So I screenshot the map and everything. So it was like little experiences like that, or I won't go into the exact detail. We can't off the show, but I was trying to get back into a certain country, and I had issues at the border, having like literally people surrounding me. They weren't aiming guns at me; they're holding their guns, shouting at me. Could not understand anything they were saying, and I was able to work my way out of that, get back across the border. Everything was taken care of. So it's like experiencing little things like that. It very quickly starts building your own self-confidence and self-esteem and all that. So for me, that's really what traveling did. And then also it helped me understand how small the world is. Like, example, a friend of mine could say, oh, wow, we're going to go to Florida. And they make it seem like it's some big thing. But to me, in my mind at least, and maybe I'm just messed up, I don't know. But in my mind, it's the same as me, like somebody saying, hey, I'm going to go from South Carolina to Florida. To me, it's the same as me saying, yeah, I'm going to go from Paraguay to Morocco tomorrow. It's the exact same.
It's your reality. You've done it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, that's really what traveling's done for me.
Right. And is in terms of where you're stationed now, why Paraguay? What about it really? Because it seems like that's your base right now, one of your bases, right? Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, so Paraguay is one of those places where...
Spanish too.
Poquito.
Un poquito. All right. Working on it.
Yeah, working on it. I mean, for me, Paraguay was one of those things where, like, I was telling people about it like a year ago. It was kind of like, I might go, I'm not sure. But I already had a friend here. I also had some small connections, but then I ended up getting connected with a very good lawyer and a bunch of other stuff. So I was like, okay, that's more attractive. I want to get residency. But also, I wanted a place that I could really focus, because whenever you're traveling every couple months, you're going to clubs, you're going out to dinner every night, spending $700. You're just going here, doing this. It's easy to get distracted, at least for me. Other people could probably do it. For me, at this current point, I'm willing to sacrifice that. So I wanted to come to Paraguay really just to focus. Like, I've got some people out here with me. We're just working all day, every day, progressing, doing all that.
You have a team of guys. You have a team of guys that do different jobs, different services.
Yeah, I've got a team of guys here. One of them's from the organization, so he's good. He's a professional. Then obviously my girl works for me, and I've got another person here as well. The rest of the people are remote, but we've got a team here, yeah, and it's allowing us to be able to really focus. And I mean, that's really the biggest reason I came to Paraguay is residency, and then I really wanted a place I could focus. Like, it's easy to, when you're constantly going out and doing all this stuff, to like, yeah, money's coming in, but it's not the same. So for the rest of this year, I'm pretty much going to be super focused. And I'm saying that, but I'm also simultaneously looking at going to Europe for a couple months. But we'll see. My plan is to stay here until like September, and then after that, maybe I'll start doing a little bit of travels to Europe, Dubai, and then come right back. But that's basically why I chose Paraguay.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So as we wrap up, and I think everyone's gotten a tremendous amount of value. This has been an incredible interview, Dylan. Appreciate you making it out.
Always. No, you're breaking up a little bit.
You hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So in terms of, we always talk about, I ask every guest, what makes a professional? Because the people that we're around, obviously, the Tates, especially at the top of that list, we strive to be a professional. We deal with professionals. For you, if, I'm sure there's a long list, but if there's one trait that you had to pinpoint, comes right to mind, top of mind, that you'd have to say, that would make a professional, if you could share that with us.
I mean, for me, the biggest trait would be like dedication. Like, regardless of how you feel, regardless of how tired you are, regardless of maybe you went out with the G's and you had like a crazy night the night before, maybe you have a hangover, but you wake up and you're dedicated, you have stuff to do and you knock it out. I mean, that's the biggest, I guess, trait of a professional, in my opinion, is that dedication to progressing yourself, progressing the people around you, progressing towards the mission. That's what makes a professional, is 100% dedication.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I want to thank you, brother, for
Always.
you dropped so many gems here. Again, guys, reach out to Dylan on his handle, real Dylan Madden. Of course, Twitter, Moneybag Lives, and of course, you can just also go to YouTube, which is a huge search engine in itself, and just type in Dylan Madden. His channel, he's always dropping. You drop a lot of shorts too, so you get bite-sized stuff too. I got to catch up because I see you have that series of stuff. You know what I mean? So you're always very giving, and definitely in the brotherhood that we're in, we really appreciate all that you do. Again, guys, HU 2.0, look that up if you're not in there. If you're looking to turn your life around, you know, Dylan Madden is one of the professors in there, highly esteemed professor. So, you know, basically an OG within this organization. So, Dylan, man, anything you want to say in closing?
No, just thanks for giving me the time to come here and talk. I've had a blast.
Yeah, brother. Thank you so much, man. Guys,
Always.
thanks again for tuning in to G Live. We'll catch you on the next one. Dylan, we'll talk soon, brother. Thank you.
Awesome. Take care.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Peace.
Yeah.